Hello everyone, and welcome to my character guide for Ekko in 2XKO. 2XKO is of course the hot new fighting game on the market, and now everyone's trying to get their hands on it and learn about the game, or more specifically, Ekko. So if that's you, you've come to the right place. In this video, I'm going to be talking about everything you need to know about the character. We're going to be talking about just what type of character he is and what his game plan is. We'll talk about his important moves and how to use them. And then at the end, I'll give you guys a couple of basic combos and setups that you can do to get yourself started with the character. Now, keep in mind that this is going to be a guide for the essentials of the character. We're not going to be talking about every little detail about the character, partly because one, it's an alpha, so we don't know everything about the character anyways. And two, you don't need to know everything about the character to get your foot in the door to learning to play them. So I might gloss over some things or just skip some things entirely because they're not that important. Real quick, before we get into it, I do want to know down in the comments below, whether you've been playing or watching the game, how do you guys feel about 2XKO so far? Do you think it's fun? Are you enjoying yourself? How do you feel about Ekko so far? What characters are you pairing him with? Because the game's new, I do kind of just want to learn how people are feeling about it. I think that'd be fun. So let me know down in the comments below, and while you're down there, consider dropping a like and subbing to the channel. Comments and likes actually help the YouTube algorithm a ton, and I'm really trying to grow my channel, so it'd be really appreciated. And make sure to sub as well, because I have a lot of future 2XKO and general fighting game content coming down the pipeline, and you won't want to miss it. With that all out of the way, let's get into talk about everything you need to know to play Ekko in 2XKO. So what type of character is Ekko? I would say that he is a fast-paced, technical mix-up character. He lacks a bit of range compared to the other characters. He's a little bit stubbier, but he more than makes up for that with his very good mobility and his very useful projectile in Time Winder. And then once he gets in on the opponent, he's able to really just run them over with how good his offense is. So I would say Ekko is a character who looks to use his superior mobility backed up with his projectile to kind of weave his way into neutral. And then once he's in on the opponent, he's going to stick to them like glue, and you're able to apply a bunch of freeform mix-ups. Like I said, he's a bit more technical than the other characters in the game. Granted, there's not that many. But once you get into the flow of the character, he's very freeform, and it's a lot of fun to play him. Now, before we get into talking about his important moves and how to use them, I do just want to mention real quick that I'm going to be using a lot of common fighting game terminology. So if there's anything that you hear that you're unfamiliar with, be sure to check out the FGC glossary, which I'll have a link to in the description below. It's a fantastic database that has information on a lot of the common things that fighting game players say, so be sure to check it out. And if it doesn't cover everything for you, feel free to ask questions in the comments below. So getting into talking about Ekko and what he's supposed to do. Like I said, his movement is very good. He's able to get from one side of the screen to the other very quickly. He actually has faster movement than the rest of the cast by a lot, I would say. This paired with the fact that he has a air dash top thing, as well as just like a lot of ways to stall his air momentum. This makes him way more mobile than a lot of the other characters, so make sure to keep that in mind when you're playing this character. That's how you're going to make up for the lack of his lack of range that he has, because even just doing stuff like dash 5M and whatnot actually goes very far for what it is. So you're going to be looking to kind of keep people guessing on your mobility. Going into his normals, first off we have 5L and 2L. These are going to be your fastest normals, so these are going to be your go-to when you're looking to mash out of your opponent's offense or something like that. As well as they're going to be your go-to for offense and hit confirming, because his 5L, 2L, and he also has a 3L, looks like this. These are all plus on block. They're all +1, and they can be chained into each other. So you're going to have a lot of very basic stagger pressure where you do stuff like 5L, 5L delay 5L, 5L dash 5L, stuff like that. And once you have the opponent, kind of worried about this type of thing, you go for throws. And of course, because of light normals, you can just chain into your mediums and heavies to get a combo off of them as well. Next up, we have his medium attacks. His 5M and 2M are going to be like your go-to pokes in neutral. They don't have a lot of range, but when paired with his movement speed, they're very good at what they do. So you're going to be looking to like make people whiff a lot by like backdashing a bunch, and then like going in for a whiff punish, something like that. These are also going to be very good on pressure because they're pretty safe on block for what they are. So you'll be doing your stagger pressure, and then you can frame trap with your 5M or your 2M. His 2M is also notably a low, so it's very good for offense. Talking about 5H, his 5H isn't bad or anything, but it's mostly just like a block string filler. You'll do it at the end of your block string or like a combo filler thing. You don't really press it in neutral or anything, at least in my experience. However, one thing that is important to note about it is that you can charge it. So this applies to every character in the game. If you hold the H button, you'll charge their 5H, and you'll notice the character kind of gets staggered back when you do. And on top of this, you can also dash cancel it. And when you do so, if you look at the frame counter up there, you are left at massive advantage. So you can go for, any type of strike throw mix up or a high low or something like that. It's very good if you think the opponent is respecting your offense. Next up, we have 3H, and this is going to be your go-to launcher. So this is what you're going to be looking to confirm your combos into if you can. Just doing a basic round series into a launcher, into an air combo is your bread and butter. If you're just looking for something easy to do, it applies to most situations. Just going into your launcher, into air buttons, into JS2 is going to be a common way to spike the opponent back down to the ground. And then from there, you can kind of just do it again, launch them again, go into JS2 and get a knockdown. Very basic thing to do. Next up, we're going to talk about his 2H, and this is going to be your primary anti-air. Now keep in mind, this move has terrible horizontal range. It does not reach very far at all. But as long as you are actually under the opponent, it's a fairly reliable anti-air in my experience. And paired with his fast mobility, it's actually not too hard to like dash up really quick and then be under the opponent for an anti-air. As far as comboing off of this goes, you're just going to do something like 2H into JH into JS2 to get your spike. And then, you know, you're going to do kind of the same thing over again as a very basic combo from your anti-air. It's pretty reliable. You just got to make sure that you're actually under the opponent because it has no range. The last ground normal I want to talk about real quick is going to be his 3M. This is a command overhead. It's pretty fast at 22 frames. This is kind of hard to block. You have to be looking for it. You can usually come off of this very easily just by calling like an assist or something and then comboing off of it that way. And there's also ways, as we get into the character later, where you can combo off of it with when you have your clone available, for example. So it's a pretty important part of his offense, so just keep it in mind. Going on to his special moves, we have neutral S1. This is going to be his Time Winder projectile. This is very helpful in neutral. It goes about half screen, and it can just kind of help you control space. If they get hit by the move as it's being thrown out, they'll just kind of get launched in the air, and you can use that time to like dash up and get offense or something. But if they get hit by the later part of the move, as you probably saw, it's going to cause them to get like frozen in place like that, and you have so much time to dash up and get a combo off of it when that happens. And because it lingers in place for a while, it's just really good for like holding down neutral and helping you, kind of weave your way in. And then we also have JS1, so this is jumping S1 where he just throws the Time Winder downwards. This is also another fantastic neutral tool. It can be useful for, stalling your air momentum, invading anti-airs, that type of thing. But in general, it's just really good because he throws it in front of him like that. So it's a nice way to just kind of control space in front of you and then dash in behind it. If the opponent gets hit by the initial toss itself for this version, they actually get knocked down by it, which allows you to get offense started, which is pretty cool. On top of this, you also have down S1, and this is going to be another Time Winder, but he's just going to throw it in front of him like this. This one's a little bit less useful because obviously it doesn't go as far. But something important to keep in mind is that you can actually hit the Time Winder with your normals. So if you do something like this, you can just kind of smack it at the opponent. So you can get a lot of creative stuff going with it. It's not amazing, but it's important to keep in mind and it can be fun. And next we have forward S1. This is just kind of a flurry of attacks that he does. And this is mostly used kind of like as combo filler or a combo ender because it does give you a hard knockdown at the end. It can also be useful in block strings with handshake tag. The handshake tag and just tagging in general is a very important part of this game, so having a good way to use it with your character is important. So a good way to use it with Ekko is, you can kind of call out your assist and go for a mix-up or whatever it is. But if they block it, something you can do is you can just go into forward S1 and then handshake tag, and that gives you plenty of time to like run up and go for another mix-up. There's tons of things characters can do with this, so make sure to lab it with your team. Now, going into his S2 specials, this is where things are getting a little bit confusing. I'm going to try to keep it quick and concise with this, okay? So for S2, we have a forward advancing attack. It's pretty basic, but this can be useful for converting certain hits, as well as it is a decent frame trap option on block because it's safe on block. Even though it says -5, I couldn't find anything that punishes it. So I'm pretty sure it's not actually -5. It's probably like -4 or something, and the game is wrong. But also, it works as a frame trap. So you can do like 5H and then do delayed S2. And when you counter hit someone with it, you can link after with a jab. So it's good for offense, but that's not all. So you notice whenever you do a special move like this, it leaves behind a clone. When you have a clone behind Ekko, you can press the S2 button again to do a different type of attack. So if we do S2, he'll rewind and do a different forward advancing attack. This one is very unsafe on block, unlike normal S2. However, it is also a launcher. So you can do stuff like this and get a full combo off of it. And that's a very basic way and common way that Ekko is going to be converting a lot of hits. Now, that's not all. There's also more to this. So you can charge most of your S2 specials, or all of them, I believe. And in this case, if you charge it, you'll see that it kind of twirls the opponent around, and you can actually link afterwards if you get the timing right. I couldn't actually find like a way to combo into this though, so it's not that important. What's more important, however, is on block. When you charge his S2, it is +1 on block. So you can kind of just like mix this into your pressure, similar to doing like charge 5H. And that can be pretty useful. But that's not all either. When you do a charge special move, instead of getting a normal clone, you actually get a volatile clone, and this changes the follow-up. So normally with normal S2, the follow-up is just another advancing attack. But with charged S2, the follow-up actually causes us to do nothing. And this is actually really good because this is basically just like a whiff cancel or like a feint. And this can be really useful for like comboing off of your overhead, for example, or making your overhead plus on block. There's a lot of ways that this lets you do crazy stuff. It also lets you just do really fast cross-ups. So this is basically the crux of a lot of his offense. A lot of his offense is finding ways to get volatile clones behind the opponent so you can represent crazy mix-ups like that. So there's a lot to his S2 specials. I'm only going to be talking about the absolutely most important things, so I'm going to try to keep it quick. Next up, we're going to have a down forward S2. This is going to be a roll, and this is very useful because as you can see, he rolls past the opponent or through the opponent. So just as an initial layer, this can be a very effective thing to pair with like an assist for a very quick cross up. And you can even just do this like in a block string where you can just do like button into fast cross up. And that is actually a cross up. It's an extremely cheap move. It's very, very important for his offense because the opponent just has to constantly be guessing on whether you're going to cross them up or not. Next, we're going to have a down S2. This one's a little bit weird because you can only do it if you have a clone available, but it's just basically this forward advancing flip kick of sorts. On block, as you can see, it is very safe, so you can just kind of throw it out in a block string if you want to, so you can do stuff like this, and it's very safe on block. And on hit, it is going to be a launcher, so you can kind of just do stuff like this, and then you can jump cancel it, and then do whatever you want as a combo. This is very often used in your combos because you can do stuff like this, and then cancel into S2. As you notice there, importantly, even if you have like an air clone, if you do S2, you'll just roll to the ground and then do kick. So it doesn't matter whether you're airborne or not when you do it. So yeah, it's basically like kind of a block string tool, but mostly it's combo filler because it's a launcher. And importantly, it combos into his charged S2, which can be very useful. You can do stuff like this and continue the combo afterwards. That's a very basic thing for Ekko. We also have JS2, so this is going to be kind of like a helm breaker dive kick type move. It can be useful in neutral to just stall your momentum because you can also charge it, of course. So it's a good way to bait anti-airs. If you do this, you can also combo off of it. You can usually just link any button afterwards. More importantly, like I was just showing in combos, this can be very useful because you can do like a 2S2 into jump cancel into charged JS2. And normal S2 is important because it is a spike. This is going to be the most simple way that you can combo into like a knockdown from any type of grounded or air hit. Just going into a launcher, into air buttons, into JS2 is the simplest bread and butter you could look for. So keep that in mind. If you're not sure how to convert something, just try to go into a launcher into JS2. Lastly, real quick, I just want to mention his down S2 follow-up when he has a volatile clone out is this forward advancing like energy blast. And as you just saw, it causes a wall bounce, which is very easy to combo off of. So this is used in a lot of combo fillers or combo enders because it also gives a hard knockdown, which can be useful in some instances. And then also, it is very safe on block. So if you just have a volatile clone sitting out, you can kind of just like block string into it as like a frame trap attempt. It's very safe and it hits the opponent, you get a full combo. Going into his supers, we have down S1. This is going to be a projectile super. Theoretically, you can use this to convert a lot of hits in neutral into full combos, but sometimes it doesn't combo properly. It's a little bit finicky, but that's something you can look into. You can also use it at the end of combos. Usually you can do stuff into like forward S1 into down S1, and that's just like a way to end combos with extra damage. It doesn't do that much extra damage, and the Oki afterwards is terrible, so only do it if it's going to kill. We have down down S2. This is going to be an install super, and basically what this does is it just makes it to where Ekko has constant access to all of his volatile clone follow-ups without needing a clone on the screen. So you can just constantly do rewind, you can constantly do down S2 with the volatile clone. It seems very good, but I haven't labbed it that much. This is definitely something to check out if you like labbing. And then lastly, we have down down S1 plus S2, and this is going to be an invincible attack, so you can use this on Wake Up or in your opponent's offense at some point. And it's also just your highest damage super. You can combo into it very easily. Again, you can just do stuff like forward S1 and then cancel into level 2. Now, giving you very basic combos, like I was mentioning, the simplest thing you can do is just doing stuff like LMH into a launcher, into MH into JS2, and this will spike the opponent down to the ground. And then you can just kind of do it again from there. An important thing to note is that if you don't want to do the clone follow-up from a move, from a S2 move, make sure to hold forward when you do the S2 again. So you notice I had a clone out there, but because I did forward JS2, it made it to where I just did a normal S2 instead of doing the clone follow-up instead. That's a very basic combo. It'll work from everything. So if you just like randomly hit your opponent with an assist, you can just go up, do a launcher, JS2, do a launcher again, JS2. You get the idea. That's going to be your bread and butter, your go-to. Now, if you're looking for a little bit more of an advanced combo, I'm just going to do the combo. I'll have a notation on the screen for you. This one's a little bit more advanced, but the damage is better and the knockdown is better. So this is good because it ends up with a situation where you have a volatile clone behind the opponent, as you can see there, and you're able to meet the opponent afterwards. So this goes into the idea of Ekko setups to give you ideas of how this pressure works. You can do this off anything, so you can just a simple combo into something like this, where you do like launcher, JS2, launcher, JS2, and then you walk back a little bit and then set a charged roll. This will have you roll past the opponent, leaving a clone behind them. And then with a clone behind the opponent, you can do this off of like a throw as well. You can just do stuff like charged S2, hit the clone behind the opponent, and then this lets you go for fake cross-ups or real cross-ups. So you can do stuff like this and cross the opponent up real quick. So this is the crux of how his offense works. You want to get knockdowns where you put down like a charged clone behind the opponent, usually accomplished with charged roll. And then from there, you can do really fast cross-ups and things like that. And it is super cheap. It also lets you combo off of your overhead because you can cancel the overhead into the clone follow-up. And that is basically the whole idea of the character. And like I was saying, for block strings as well, make sure you're using stuff like buttons into roll plus assist for a cross-up. You have stuff like charged S2 to be plus on block. So there's a lot of ideas with the character. He's super freeform. Make sure to explore all your options. There's a lot of crazy stuff with him. And that's going to do it for my Ekko character guide. I enjoy this character a ton. If you would like to watch me play or ask questions about the character, I do stream full-time over on twitch.tv. You can find a link to that in the description below, as well as all my other socials. I find the character super fun. Hopefully after this video, you guys also can find the character super enjoyable. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.